Kim Dae-ho stood in the command center, watching the massive screens that showed space around Earth. His gray hair was cut short, and his face showed the lines of a man who had spent 50 years preparing for this day. The alarms were quiet now, but red lights still flashed across every surface. "Sir, they're still out there," said Park Hae-jin, looking up from her computer. She was younger than Kim, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. 10,000 ships, maybe more. Kim nodded slowly. He had been Earth's supreme defense coordinator for 20 years. In all that time, no alien force had ever come this close to Earth. The planet had been protected by the Terra Shield for over 200 years, but it had never been tested against something this big. The Terra Shield was invisible to the naked eye, but Kim knew it was there. It wrapped around Earth like a giant bubble, reaching far out into space. The scientists said it could stop anything. Today they would find out if that was true. "What do we know about them?" Kim asked. Lee Tae-min, a young man with thick glasses, turned from his control panel. "They call themselves the Galactic Empire. Their ships are big, but the technology looks old. Really old, like they haven't changed their designs in thousands of years." "Old doesn't mean weak," said Admiral Choi Bo-ram. She was a tall woman with steel in her voice. "Those ships are built for war. Each one could destroy a city." Kim watched the alien fleet on the main screen. The ships were dark and angular, like metal sharks floating in the black of space. At the center was one ship much larger than the others. It was the size of a small moon, covered in weapons and armor. "Any attempt at communication?" Kim asked. Park Hae-jin shook her head. "Nothing. They just arrived. Jumped right into our solar system like they owned it." Then the screens lit up with incoming signals. The largest alien ship was sending a message. The translation computers worked fast, turning the alien language into words they could understand. "People of the third planet," the message began. The voice was cold and proud. "I am Emperor Vextar of the Galactic Empire. Your world is now part of our territory. Lower your defenses and prepare for integration. Resistance will result in the destruction of your planet." The command center fell silent. Kim felt every eye in the room turn to him. Outside, Earth's 4 billion people went about their lives not knowing that aliens had just threatened to destroy their world. "Sir?" Park Hae-jin asked quietly. "What do we do?" Kim thought about his children, safe in their homes below. He thought about every human on Earth living their lives in peace because people like him stood watch. He thought about the generations of humans who had built the Terra Shield, preparing for exactly this moment. "Send a reply," Kim said. Lee Tae-min's fingers moved over his keyboard. "Channel open, sir." Kim spoke clearly, his voice carrying to every ship in the alien fleet. "This is Kim Dae-ho, Supreme Defense Coordinator of Earth. Your demand is denied. No entry allowed." The silence that followed lasted exactly 10 seconds. Then the alien fleet opened fire. The space around Earth lit up like a fireworks show. Thousands of energy beams, plasma bolts, and missiles flew toward the planet. The Terra Shield, invisible until now, suddenly blazed with blue light as the attacks hit it. But something amazing happened. The shield didn't just block the attacks. It caught them, held them for a moment, then sent them back. Every energy beam that hit the shield returned to the alien fleet twice as strong as before. 3 alien ships exploded immediately. 5 more lost their engines and began spinning out of control. The rest of the fleet stopped firing and pulled back, confusion clear in their movements. "Impossible," Admiral Choi whispered, staring at the screens. Lee Tae-min was checking his instruments, his hands shaking with excitement. The shield worked perfectly. It absorbed their energy and reflected it back. But sir, it did something else. It learned from their attacks. It's stronger now than it was 5 minutes ago. Kim allowed himself a small smile. The Terra Shield had been designed by the smartest humans who ever lived. It wasn't just a wall around Earth. It was a living system that grew stronger with every attack. The alien emperor's voice came through the speakers again, but this time it sounded different. Less sure of itself. "How did you do that?" Emperor Vextar demanded. "What technology are you using?" "Human technology," Kim replied simply. "Impossible. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have fought races with millions of years of history. None of them had defenses like this." Park Hae-jin was reading reports from her team. "Sir, our long-range sensors are picking up movement in their fleet. Some ships are leaving." "Running away?" Admiral Choi asked. "No," Lee Tae-min said, studying his screens. "They're regrouping, getting ready for a bigger attack." Kim wasn't surprised. The Galactic Empire hadn't conquered 1,000 worlds by giving up after one failed attack. They would try again, probably with everything they had. All defense stations, report status, Kim ordered. The replies came in quickly. Earth's orbital defense platforms were online. The lunar bases were ready. Mars colony was preparing to help if needed. Humanity had spent 2 centuries getting ready for this day. Sir, Park Hyejin said, there's something else. We're getting reports from around the world. People saw the lights in the sky. They know something is happening. Kim nodded. It was time to tell Earth's people the truth. That they were no longer alone in the universe. That aliens existed and some of them wanted to destroy humanity. But also that Earth was ready. Open a channel to all global networks, Kim said. It's time they knew. As he prepared to address the world, Kim looked once more at the alien fleet regrouping in space. Emperor Vextar thought he could take Earth by force. He was about to learn that humans had been preparing for this fight for a very long time. The Terra shield pulsed with blue light around the planet, waiting for the next attack. Earth was ready to show the galaxy what humans could do when someone threatened their home. The real battle was just beginning. Han Su-bin watched the news reports flooding in from across Earth. People were scared, confused, and angry. The alien attack had been seen by millions, and Kim Dae-ho's announcement had told them the truth. Aliens existed, and they wanted to conquer Earth. But Han had a different job than Kim. While Kim handled the military side, Han dealt with minds and hearts. She was Earth's chief diplomat, but more importantly, she understood how to fight wars with words and ideas. The alien fleet is still out there, she told her team in the underground bunker beneath Geneva. They're not attacking, but they're not leaving either. We need to know what they're thinking. Her assistant, a young man named Bae Sung-ho, looked up from his computer. The translation programs are working on their communications. But Han, there's something strange. They keep mentioning old records, ancient files, like they're looking for something in their history about Earth. Han found that interesting. Why would aliens have old records about Earth? As far as anyone knew, this was first contact between humans and aliens. Meanwhile, in space, Captain Oh Min-seo was preparing for the most dangerous mission of her life. Her ship, the Silent Arrow, was designed to be invisible to enemy sensors. It was small, fast, and could slip through space without being detected. Are you sure about this? Asked her engineer, Ko Byung-hoon. If they catch us in their territory, we're dead. Oh Min-seo checked her equipment one more time. Someone needs to find out what we're dealing with. Kim can handle the defense, but we need information. The Silent Arrow slipped away from Earth's orbital stations, moving carefully past the alien fleet. Oh Min-seo held her breath as they passed between 2 massive warships. But the aliens didn't notice them. Once they were clear, she set course for the edge of the solar system, where her sensors had detected something interesting. A small alien ship separated from the main fleet. Back on the alien flagship, Emperor Vextar was not having a good day. The attack on Earth had failed completely. And worse, he had lost ships to his own weapons. His military advisors were nervous, and his computer experts were digging through files that were older than his empire. Tell me again about these records, Vextar demanded. His chief advisor, a tall alien with 4 arms, brought up a holographic display. Sire, the records are from the First Dynasty over 50,000 years ago. They list this system as observation only, do not engage, but there's no explanation why. 50,000 years, Vextar repeated. Before we conquered the galaxy, before we became an empire. Yes, sire. The records are very old and most of the details have been lost. But the warning is clear. This system was marked as forbidden. Vextar stared at the hologram showing Earth's solar system. And nobody thought to mention this before we came here. The records were buried deep in the archives, sire. No one has looked at them for centuries. On Earth, Han Su-bin was starting her own kind of attack. She had spent days studying the alien communications, learning their language, understanding their culture. Now she was ready to fight back. She began broadcasting on every frequency the aliens were using. Her message was simple, but she knew it would spread through their fleet like a virus. People of the Galactic Empire, her voice said in perfect alien language, you have been told that Earth is weak. You have been told that humans will surrender. You have been lied to. Earth is not just another world to be conquered. We are the children of stars, the builders of wonders, the defenders of freedom. We do not bow to tyrants, and look at your own records. Ask your leaders why this system was marked as forbidden 50,000 years ago. Ask them what they know about humanity that they haven't told you. The message spread through the alien fleet in minutes. Soon it was being repeated on alien worlds across the galaxy. Captain O Minseo had reached the small alien ship at the edge of the solar system. It wasn't a warship but a science vessel doing research. She used her ship's advanced sensors to listen to their communications. What she heard made her blood run cold. The aliens weren't just talking about Earth. They were talking about humans on other worlds. Humans who had been conquered, enslaved, scattered across the galaxy. Billions of them living under alien rule. Ko, are you hearing this? She whispered to her engineer. I hear it, Ko Byung-hoon replied, his voice tight with anger. They've been enslaving our people for thousands of years. Oh, Minseo recorded everything, then carefully turned her ship around. Earth needed to know about this immediately. On one of those distant worlds, in a slave camp beneath a red sun, a man named Yoon Jae-wook was listening to an old radio hidden in the walls. He had human features, but his ancestors had lived on this world for so long that nobody remembered Earth. Then Han Subin's message came through the static, speaking in the alien language but carrying a message of hope. Yoon Jae-wook sat up straight, hardly believing what he was hearing. Someone was fighting back against the Empire. Someone was saying no. He looked around at the other humans in the camp. They were tired, beaten down by generations of slavery. But as Han's message continued, he saw something he hadn't seen in years. Hope. Back on Earth, Kim Dae-ho was reading Oh Min-seo's report with growing anger. The aliens hadn't just come to conquer Earth, they had been conquering and enslaving humans for thousands of years. How many? He asked Park Hyejin, who was analyzing the data. Billions, she replied quietly. Maybe more. They're scattered across hundreds of worlds. Han Subin joined them in the command center, her face grim. My broadcasts are working. The alien fleet is confused, their soldiers are asking questions. But Kim, there's something else. We're getting responses. Responses? From the human slaves. They're finding ways to send messages back to us. They're organizing. Kim looked at the data flowing across the screens. Humanity wasn't just on Earth. They were everywhere in the galaxy, and now they knew that Earth was fighting back. Emperor Vexitar was facing a crisis. His soldiers were questioning orders. His officers were demanding explanations, and worst of all, reports were coming in from across the Empire. The human slaves were becoming restless. Sire, his advisor said nervously, perhaps we should withdraw, find another world to conquer. Vextar's eyes burned with anger. No, I will not be defeated by one small planet. Prepare the second wave attack. Use everything we have. But even as he gave the order, Vextar wondered about those old records. What had happened 50,000 years ago? Why had his ancestors marked Earth as forbidden? And most importantly, what had the humans been doing all this time? On Earth, the Terra Shield pulsed with blue light, growing stronger with each passing hour. The planet was ready for whatever came next. But now the fight wasn't just about Earth anymore. It was about every human in the galaxy. Deep beneath the mountains of Tibet, Dr. Jang Eun-woo was having the most important day of his life. He had been Earth's chief archaeologist for 30 years, but nothing had prepared him for what his team had found in the ancient archives. Professor, called his assistant, Seo Yuna from across the vast underground chamber. You need to see this. Jang Eun-woo walked carefully across the metal floor. The room was huge, carved from solid rock but filled with technology that hummed with quiet power. They had discovered it 3 days ago, after the alien attack had caused strange energy readings deep in the mountains. Seo Yuna was standing in front of a wall covered in symbols that glowed with soft blue light. She was young, brilliant, and specialized in something called quantum archaeology, reading information from objects using advanced technology. What is it? Jang asked. It's a history, Seo Yuna said, her voice full of wonder. But not the history we know. Professor, this says that humans didn't evolve on Earth. Jang felt his world shift. What do you mean? Seo Yuna touched the wall and the symbols changed, showing images of stars and planets. 50,000 years ago, there was a human civilization that spread across the galaxy. They were incredibly advanced, more than we are even now. The images showed great cities floating in space, ships that moved between stars like birds, and humans working alongside strange technologies that seemed to think for themselves. What happened to them? Jang asked. War, Seo Yuna replied. Something attacked them. Something from outside our galaxy. From the dark spaces between stars. The human civilization was scattered, destroyed. Most of the survivors were captured or killed, but some escaped. Yes, a small group came here to Earth. They chose this planet because it was hidden, forgotten, far from the main space routes. They built these chambers, set up the Terra shield, and then… Seoyuna paused, reading more symbols. Then they erased their own memories. Jiang stared at the glowing wall. They what? They chose to forget. They wanted their children to grow up naturally, without the fear and pain of what had happened. So they built systems to protect Earth, then made themselves forget they had ever built them. Miles away in the command center, Kim Dae-ho was dealing with a different kind of revelation. An alien scientist named Bae Ki-tae had used a small ship to approach Earth, broadcasting messages of surrender. "I want to help you," Bae Ki-tae said through the translation system. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and large eyes. "I have studied your technology, and I know what you are." "What are we?" asked Park Hye-jin, speaking for Kim. "You are the ancients," Bae Ki-tae said. "The ones from the old stories. We thought you were myths." Kim leaned forward. "Explain." Bae Ki-tae showed them data on his portable device. "Your technology operates on principles we cannot understand. It responds to consciousness, to thought itself. We have tried to copy it for thousands of years, but it never works for us. Why not? Because it was designed by humans, for humans. Your minds work differently than ours. You can connect with quantum fields in ways we cannot imagine." Lee Taemin, who had been listening carefully, suddenly understood. "The Terra shield. It's not just a machine. It's alive. It's connected to us, yes," Bae Ki-tae said. "And now that it has awakened, other systems will follow. Your planet is becoming something more than it was." In the Tibetan archives, Dr. Jang Eun-woo was learning the same thing. The walls were showing him images of Earth's transformation, systems hidden all over the planet beginning to activate. The original humans didn't just build defenses, Seoyuna explained. They turned Earth itself into a weapon, a planet-sized consciousness that could defend against any threat. "But why now?" Jang asked. "Why is it activating after 50,000 years?" Seoyuna touched another section of the wall and new symbols appeared. "Because the ancient enemy is coming back. The Galactic Empire's expansion wasn't random. They've been guided, influenced by the same force that destroyed the original human civilization. The Empire is working for our enemies? Not intentionally. But yes, they've been preparing the galaxy for invasion, weakening the defenses, enslaving the humans who might remember and fight back." In space, Emperor Vextar was preparing his largest attack yet. He had brought together every ship in his fleet, every weapon at his disposal. He would not be defeated by one planet, no matter how strange its defenses. But as he gave the order to attack, something unexpected happened. His own ship's computers began showing him files he had never seen before. Ancient records from the deepest archives of his empire. The files told a story that made his blood run cold. The Galactic Empire had not grown naturally. For thousands of years, they had been receiving guidance from mysterious sources, technologies that appeared without explanation, battle strategies that came from unknown advisors. "Computer," Vextar said slowly, "who has been sending us these guidance signals?" "Source unknown," the computer replied. "Signals originate from outside the galaxy." Vextar realized with growing horror that his empire had been a puppet, dancing to the tune of some outside force. And that force was getting ready to collect on its investment. On Earth, the transformation was accelerating. All around the planet, hidden systems were coming online. The Terra shield expanded, reaching out to encompass the Moon, then Mars. Orbital platforms that had been invisible for 50,000 years began to materialize. Kim Dae-ho watched it all from the command center. Feeling a strange connection to the awakening systems, it was as if the planet itself was speaking to him, showing him what was possible. "Sir," Park Hye-jin said, "we're receiving signals from across the galaxy. Human populations on hundreds of worlds. They're organizing, preparing to fight. They're waiting for our signal," Admiral Choi added. "Earth is becoming a beacon for every human in the galaxy." In the archives, Dr. Jang Eun-woo made one final discovery that changed everything. Deep in the most protected files, he found a message left by the original humans who had come to Earth. The message was simple. "When the systems awaken, when the shield grows strong, know this. You are not the last humans. You are the first of the new ones. The enemy that scattered us is coming back, but this time we will be ready." Seoyuna looked at him with wide eyes. "Professor, what does it mean?" Zhang smiled, feeling the weight of 50,000 years of history settling into place. It means we're not just defending Earth, we're taking back the galaxy. Above them, the Terra shield pulsed with increasing power, and across space, billions of humans felt something they hadn't felt in generations: hope. The ancient enemy was coming, but humanity was no longer scattered and afraid. They were united, they were ready, and they had Earth to guide them home. Xin Donghyun had been a simple engineer working on orbital maintenance platforms just 1 week ago. Now he stood in a chamber that existed in 17 dimensions at once, leading something called the Legacy Council. The transformation had come suddenly, as Earth's ancient systems awakened and chose people to help guide them. The platforms are ready, he told the others in the council. Around him, men and women from all over Earth shared information through connections they didn't fully understand. Their minds were linked to Earth's growing consciousness, and through it, to every awakening system on the planet. Mars base reports full activation, said a woman whose body was still on Mars but whose mind was here with them. The shipyards are building vessels using technologies we're just beginning to remember. Shin looked through Earth's enhanced senses at the solar system around them. What had been empty space a week ago was now filled with structures that had been hiding for 50,000 years. Massive orbital rings around Jupiter were coming online. Ancient bases on asteroids were waking up. The entire solar system was becoming a fortress, but more importantly, it was becoming a factory. Commander Kwon Mi-young stood on the bridge of humanity's first new warship, the Liberation. It was unlike anything humans had ever built before, because they hadn't built it alone. Earth's awakened consciousness had guided the construction, sharing knowledge that had been locked away since the first human refugees arrived. "Status report," Kwon said to her crew. "All systems ready." "Commander," replied her navigation officer, Jong Soo-hyun. "The ship is responding perfectly. It's like it knows what we want to do before we ask." Kwon nodded. The Liberation wasn't just a ship. It was a living thing, grown rather than built, with hull metal that could repair itself and engines that drew power from the quantum fields that surrounded all matter. "How many ships do we have ready?" she asked. 500 of our class," Jong answered, "plus 2,000 smaller vessels, and more are being completed every hour." Kwon felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. These ships weren't meant to conquer. They were meant to liberate. In a few hours, they would leave Earth's solar system for the first time in human history. Not as explorers, but as liberators, across the galaxy. Nam Ho-jin crouched in the ruins of what had once been a human city on the world called Kepler 442b. He had spent his entire life as a slave in the Empire's mining operations, but Han Subin's broadcast from Earth had changed everything. "The signal is getting stronger," whispered An So-young, another human slave who had joined his underground movement. "Earth is talking to us." Nam felt it too, a warm presence in his mind growing stronger each day. It was teaching him things, showing him how to build weapons from mining equipment, how to organize people who had forgotten they were human. "How many are with us?" Nam asked. "In this sector alone? 3 billion humans across 40 worlds," An replied. "And they're all waiting for the signal from Earth." Nam smiled grimly. The Galactic Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had kept humans alive across thousands of worlds, thinking they were weak and broken. But humans had a gift that no other species possessed. They could hope even in the darkest times. And hope, as Nam was learning, was a very dangerous thing. On the Imperial flagship, Emperor Vextar was discovering that his empire was falling apart. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Human slaves were rioting. Imperial governors were reporting breakdowns in communication. Worst of all, some Imperial ships were simply disappearing. "How many worlds have we lost contact with?" Vextar demanded. His advisor, trembling with fear, checked his reports. 47 worlds in the last day, sire. The humans seem to know exactly when and where to strike." Vextar stared at the tactical display. Red markers showed worlds in rebellion, yellow markers showed worlds with communication problems, and green markers showed worlds still under Imperial control. There was more red than green now. "They're coordinating somehow," Vextar said. "But how?" "We control all the communication networks." "Sire," said his science advisor, "we believe they're using quantum entanglement communication. It's a technology we've never been able to master." "And they can?" "Apparently, yes. Every human in the galaxy seems to be connected to some kind of network centered on their home world. Vextar felt ice in his veins. Prepare the planet killer. If we can't have the galaxy, at least we can stop them. The planet killer was the Empire's ultimate weapon, a massive device that could destroy entire worlds. It was powered by enslaved psychic entities from a dead civilization, and it had never failed to destroy its target. But as the weapon charged up, something strange began happening. The enslaved entities that powered it started screaming in terror, not at what they were about to do, but at what was approaching them. On Earth, Kim Dae-ho felt the change immediately. The Terra shield, which had been growing steadily stronger, suddenly blazed with power that hurt to look at directly. "Sir," Park Hee-jin said, reading her instruments with disbelief. "The shield just expanded to cover the entire galaxy." "What do you mean, the entire galaxy?" "I mean our protection field now encompasses every star, every planet, every living thing in the Milky Way galaxy. Somehow we've become the guardians of everything." Lee Tae-min was checking the quantum readings, his hands shaking with excitement. "The network is complete. Every human in the galaxy is now connected. We can coordinate perfectly." Admiral Choi looked at the tactical displays showing the Imperial fleet. "They're powering up their planet killer weapon." Kim felt Earth's consciousness touch his mind, sharing knowledge and strategy. "Let them try. They're about to learn something important about humans." Commander Kwon Mi-young received her orders directly from Earth's awakened systems. The Liberation Fleet would not attack the Imperial capital or their biggest military bases. Instead, they would appear simultaneously at every world where humans were enslaved. "All ships prepare for quantum jump," Kwon ordered. "Operation Liberation begins now." 500 advanced warships and 2,000 support vessels disappeared from Earth's solar system in the same instant. They reappeared at worlds scattered across the galaxy, each ship arriving exactly where it was needed most. On Kepler Forum 42b, Nam Ho-jin watched in wonder as human ships materialized in the sky above the slave camps. The ships didn't fire weapons at the Imperial forces. Instead, they broadcast a simple message in every language spoken in the galaxy. "Humans of the galaxy, you are free. The chains are broken. Earth has come home." The Imperial garrison tried to fight back, but their weapons simply stopped working. The human ships had brought with them a field that disabled violence against humans, while leaving them free to defend themselves. Within hours, 47 worlds declared their freedom from the Galactic Empire. Within days, it was hundreds of worlds. Emperor Vextar fired his planet-killer weapon at Earth, pouring enough energy into the beam to destroy an entire solar system. But when the energy reached Earth's expanded shield, something impossible happened. The planet absorbed the energy and grew stronger. The Terra shield blazed even brighter, and new technologies began awakening all across Earth. "Impossible," Vextar whispered. "Nothing can survive the planet killer." But as he watched, Earth began broadcasting a message that reached every corner of the galaxy. "This galaxy is under human protection now. All beings who wish to live in peace are welcome. Those who choose violence against the innocent will find that their weapons no longer work." Shin Dong-hyun, still connected to Earth's expanding consciousness, understood what was happening. Humanity wasn't just defending itself anymore. They had become the immune system of the galaxy itself, protecting all life from those who would destroy it. The ancient enemy that had scattered humanity 50,000 years ago was coming back, just as the old records had warned. But this time, they would find the galaxy defended by something they had never faced before. Humans who remembered who they were and what they could do when they worked together. The liberation of the galaxy had begun. Lim Seong-jin had been a simple teacher in Seoul just 2 weeks ago. Now he stood in a place that existed between dimensions. His consciousness connected to every human in the galaxy and to Earth itself. The planet had chosen him to be its voice, its representative in what was about to be the most important conversation in the history of the universe. Around him, the awakened consciousness of Earth pulsed with the thoughts and dreams of 4 billion humans, plus the billions more who had been freed across the galaxy. He could feel their hope, their determination, and their readiness to face whatever came next. "They're coming," he said to the others in Earth's quantum council. "The ancient enemy. They're finally making their move." Park Jung-woo opened his eyes for the first time in 50,000 years. The last survivor of the original human civilization, he had been kept in stasis deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, waiting for the day when humanity would be strong enough to face the truth. He was an old man, but his eyes held the wisdom of ages. As he walked through Earth's command center, people stopped and stared. They could feel the weight of history that surrounded him. "You've done well," Park Jung-woo told Kim Dae-ho. "Better than we ever hoped when we first came to this world." "Who are they?" Kim asked. "The ancient enemy." "What do they want?" Park Jung-woo looked up at the displays showing space around Earth. Dark shapes were moving between the stars, things that weren't quite ships and weren't quite alive. "They call themselves the Devourers," Park said. "They come from the space between galaxies, from the dark places where nothing should exist. They feed on consciousness, on the spark of life itself. And they destroyed your civilization? They scattered us, broke us apart so we couldn't work together. You see, humans have something special. When we unite, when we truly work as one, we can do things that shouldn't be possible. We can touch the fundamental forces of reality." Park Jung-woo gestured to the Terra shield blazing around Earth. "The Devourers have been preparing for thousands of years. They used the Galactic Empire to weaken the galaxy, to make sure no one could stand against them when they returned. On the bridge of the Liberation, Commander Kwon Mi-young received new orders from Earth. The Liberation fleet was to return home immediately, not in retreat but to prepare for the final battle. "All ships quantum jump to Earth," she ordered. "Maximum speed." As her ships appeared around Earth, Kwon saw that they weren't alone. Ships from every human world in the galaxy were gathering. Not just warships, but civilian vessels, cargo haulers, even old mining ships. Humanity was coming home. But they weren't coming to hide behind Earth's defenses. They were coming to make a stand. Emperor Vextar found himself in an impossible situation. His empire was crumbling. His worlds were in rebellion. And now something even worse was approaching. The dark ships that had been guiding his empire from the shadows were finally showing themselves. "Sire," his advisor said, terrified, "the Devourers are demanding that we attack Earth immediately. They say if we don't, they'll destroy us along with everything else." Vextar looked at his tactical displays. Half his fleet was gone, destroyed, or defected. The other half was being demanded as a sacrifice in a war he didn't understand. "Open a channel to Earth," he ordered. "Sire, do it." When the connection was established, Vextar found himself speaking to Kim Dae-ho. "Human," he said, "we need to talk." The meeting took place in space between the fleets. Emperor Vextar came aboard a human ship, something that would have been unthinkable just days before. "They've been using us," he told Kim and the other human leaders. "My empire, my people, we've been puppets. Everything we've done for thousands of years has been to prepare the galaxy for them. Will your people fight with us?" Kim asked. Vextar was quiet for a long moment. "My empire is broken. My authority is gone. But yes, those who remain will fight. We've been slaves to these creatures for too long." Park Jung-woo stepped forward. "There's something you need to understand, both of you. This isn't just about our galaxy anymore. The Devourers have consumed dozens of galaxies. They're not just invaders. They're a force of entropy itself, trying to return the universe to darkness." "How do we stop something like that?" Kwon asked. "By doing what humans do best," Park smiled. "By refusing to give up, even when everything seems impossible." The final battle began not with explosions or energy beams, but with something much more terrifying. The Devourers didn't attack Earth directly. Instead, they began to drain the life from everything around them. Stars started going out. Planets became cold and lifeless. The very fabric of space began to tear as the Devourers fed on the quantum fields that held reality together. But Earth was ready. Lim Seong-jin, speaking with the voice of the planet itself, broadcast a message that reached every conscious being in the galaxy. "Citizens of the galaxy, we offer you a choice. Stand with us and we will share with you the gift that makes humans special, the ability to hope, to dream, to refuse defeat even in the darkest hour." Across the galaxy, millions of alien species felt something they had never experienced before, a connection to something larger than themselves. The network that linked all humans expanded, welcoming anyone who chose to join. The Devourers had expected to face a broken galaxy, scattered civilizations fighting alone. Instead, they found something unprecedented: unity. When they tried to drain the life from the galaxy, they found that every living thing was connected to every other living thing. When they attacked one world, a billion others shared the burden. When they tried to extinguish stars, the combined will of trillions of beings reignited them. Impossible, the Devourers spoke with voices like dying suns. We have consumed 1,000 galaxies. Nothing can stand against entropy. Lim Seong-jin, now speaking for every conscious being in the Milky Way, replied with simple words that carried the weight of absolute determination. We are human. We make the impossible possible. This galaxy is under our protection now. No entry allowed. The final confrontation wasn't a battle in any traditional sense. It was a contest of wills, of hope against despair, of life against the void. The Devourers threw everything they had at the galaxy, trying to break the connections between worlds, trying to isolate civilization so they could be consumed individually. But for every connection they severed, 10 more appeared. Humans had learned something in their 50,000 years of exile. They had learned that consciousness itself was creative force, that minds working together could reshape reality. The Terra Shield expanded one final time, not just around the galaxy, but around all the galaxies in the local cluster. Earth had become the immune system not just of the Milky Way, but of an entire region of space. The Devourers found themselves trapped, unable to feed, unable to spread. For the first time in their existence, they faced something they couldn't consume, the united will of countless beings who refused to surrender. You cannot hold us forever, they whispered, as they retreated into the dark between galaxies. Kim Daeho, now connected to the galactic network but still himself, replied, "We don't need to hold you forever. We just need to be ready when you try again." As the ancient enemy faded back into the void, the galaxy began to heal. Worlds that had been enslaved declared their freedom. Species that had never met before began to work together, and at the center of it all, Earth pulsed with blue light, a beacon of hope that could be seen from anywhere in the galaxy. Park Young-woo stood on Earth's surface, feeling the warm sun on his face for the first time in 50,000 years. "We did it," he said to Lim Seong-jin. "We kept the promise." And what promise? That humanity would never again be scattered, that we would stand together no matter what tried to divide us. Above them, ships from 1,000 worlds moved through space in peaceful formation. The galaxy was free, protected by the most unlikely guardians imaginable. Humans who had learned that their greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, but their refusal to abandon hope. Earth's message continued to broadcast across the cosmos. Simple and clear: this galaxy is protected. All are welcome who come in peace. But for those who would bring darkness and destruction, no entry allowed. And in the vast network of consciousness that now connected every world, every species, every thinking being, one truth echoed stronger than all others. Home is not a place you come from, but a place you're willing to fight for. The galaxy was home now, and humanity would never let it fall.